heading home from work early today. I had kidney problems again last night, and I can feel some stuff going on in my liver too, for that matter, and it just makes me fatigued and uncomfortable. So I got my work done so that my boss wouldn't be bothered, and then I left. I wanted to talk some more about the healthcare system and what sparked this conversation to begin with. So what sparked this conversation to begin with was I was watching a Shawn Ryan show with John Lovett, I think is his name. Pretty sure. He's an Army Ranger. Served in Iraq and Afghanistan. And there's special forces. It's a special forces show where Shawn Ryan invites on a lot of different people. They're not all special forces, but a lot of people with interesting backgrounds working for the Department of Defense. And they talk about things that I wouldn't feel comfortable talking about. I also worked for the Department of Defense. I was not special forces, though. That sparked this thing about me wanting to start talking about my experiences. Some time back, one of the guests on one of the shows, I don't remember which show it was a veteran, said that people who make good YouTube videos are people who talk about their expertise and experiences, and they share those with people. And I've thought about that quite a bit. I share mostly, up to this point, my book reports. I've tried several times to get into talking about different subjects, but I don't like the way I don't like the videos I make. They're just kind of, I annoy myself sometimes. So I just erased them. Plus I got tired of being shadow banned. Some of my friends used to like my stuff and they would want to see it, but despite subscribing and requesting notifications, they wouldn't get them and they would tell me. So that gets annoying after a while. My videos kept getting deleted and disappearing, and that also was annoying. So I took a break for a while, and now I'm back to doing it again. And why in the world would I do this? Well, if you're going to talk about your expertise, you're basically trying to help people. Some people are on YouTube to sell things and to make money, but not everybody. That's not my purpose. My purpose is to leave a legacy for my grandchildren and to participate in what's going on in our society today, in hopefully a positive way. Not everything I say is positive, but it's for positive intent. So that's basically why I'm talking on the video. John Lovett made some good points about why he faced his fears, or how he did it when he was in certain situations in combat. And I was never in combat with guns, but I was a rescue firefighter and an EMT, and I've done my own. I've got my own experiences in warfare, spiritual warfare. I also was in the military. I had a top secret clearance and a secret clearance. I don't think those things are really they're not very useful for me to have those, other than I have some insights into things. For the most part, they're a liability, and I don't understand these guys getting on these YouTube videos and talking about things. Granted, they may be talking about things in such a way that they can't technically get in trouble, which is basically what I'm trying to do right now. But I don't know, it's just, that's a touchy subject. There's a lot of deception going on right now, and obviously warfare is what deception is. According to Sun Tzu, excuse me. So you really can't trust anything you see or hear. Even these videos video from me could be faked with current technology. I could be made to say things that I'm not saying. I've seen examples of things in the news that were not true, based on personal experience to some degree. And I'm burned out on it all. But I believe that people have to participate. John and Shawn were talking about, special forces being the tip of the spear in protecting the United States and the Constitution. If they're the tip of the spear, which I don't disagree with, what are the rest of us? We make up the handle. And who's the one wielding the spear? And to what effect? And what happens to all of that if it doesn't go well? Like, if you think about it, those guys in the special forces definitely risked their lives, and we all should be grateful. I am. And they deserve respect, which I give them. At the same time, we're all in this boat together, and they can't do it alone. No man's an island. So, if we don't pull together as a country and start sticking up for what's right at any cost, we're going to lose the country. And they're not going to be the only ones who risk their lives. If you'll study the history of war, civilians die a great deal more than anybody in combat shooting at each other, throwing bombs. I know it sounds ironic, but it's true. And this situation will be no different. So, what is my purpose of videos? Well, originally it was just to kind of give my grandchildren some perspective of their grandfather, because I don't get to see them very often. And I don't know that I'll live to see all my grandchildren born. And secondly, there's so much disinformation and conflicting information, and even that's even in my own family and friends, about the state of things. I don't want people putting words in my mouth that I didn't say, which I don't know how effective this method's going to be. I've also written journals, but this method, like I said, CGI, computer technology can fake a lot of things. So I'm not so sure this is a realistic strategy, but I'm going to do it anyway. We all have to participate in what's happening in our society and in the world. And so what are my expertise? How can I participate and contribute? Well, I'm a jack of all trades. I've done a little bit of everything, and I know a little bit about everything, which makes me not an expert in anything, except knowing how to do everything, at least a little bit. Maybe not good at it. Some things I'm really good at, some things I'm not good at, and that includes everything I've been trained in. So, for example, I've got a certification in heating air conditioning. But you wouldn't want to hire me to fix your air conditioning system, because I haven't done that. As a profession, I only did it for like 6 months or a year, and as an apprentice. And yeah, I make good grades, and I know basics. I know quite a bit about it, but I can be a help to people who do know more about it and need extra hands to do work, I can do that. But you wouldn't want me to be in charge of setting up your air conditioning system or to repair it, or your heater, your furnace. I've done work on both, but yeah, I'm not an expert in that, even though I've got a certification and gone to college for it. On the other hand, I went to National Therapeutic School and became a massage therapist and a herbologist. And I'm not real strong in the herbology department, although I have and do make my own medicines from plants. But I am very good at the massage therapy. It's not just Swedish. I was trained in all the Eastern arts too. So the Qi stuff, the Chinese. Now, as far as like having memorized all the acupressure points and what they're good for and all that, no, I don't do that. I'm just aware of them. But one of my instructors told me that in the 25 years he'd been teaching, my skill level on the intuitive level of effectiveness was in the top 3 of any of the students he'd ever taught. So I'm really good at massage therapy, but I don't do it as a profession because there's no, it's not a solid income, and I'm not real skilled at marketing myself, which these videos are good evidence of. They're not high quality, and I'm not trying very hard. So I don't think that's the purpose. I don't think that's the point. And I think it's important for average folks like you and me to make these kinds of videos because it's leadership in the military. Let me use this example. Leadership in the military is really, it's like at the core of how things get done. And so, but you're not going to get a war won by having a good general, like General Patton, okay? Or Robert E. Lee. That's a perfect example, Robert E. Lee. You're not going to win just because you're good, just because you're the best. You have to have a whole support network, logistics. Special forces can't do anything without logistical people. Paper pushers, the bean counters, the guys who lift the boxes and clean the toilets and ship, that drive the trucks and fly the planes. The crew members. Pilots can't fly the planes without their crew members. It's all a network, and you have to have leadership on every single level in order for that whole thing to work. Think of the human body, how many different complicated systems are working simultaneously, separately but together. And they don't just work together, a lot of them counteract each other, the negative feedback loops. So it looks like one's working against the other, but really they keep each other in check and maintain homeostasis or balance. And that doesn't work if the system doesn't remain integrated. And that's what's happening in our country, I think, is that we've got infiltrated by Marxists and corrupt mafia types that have taken over big business, and it's all got corrupted. So what does that mean for us, prognosis wise? Well, what happens with the human body when it gets infiltrated and bad germs or cancer or disease starts causing imbalances? There are all different kinds of levels of recovery for that, and sometimes it gets so corrupt that it can't recover. And as somebody who worked in hospice, which is another of my expertise besides massage therapy, is working and taking care of people who are dying, whether as a rescue firefighter or as a medic or as a certified nursing assistant. I have seen a lot of people die in a lot of different ways, and if you think it's all the same, it's totally not. I can't imagine people think it's the same, but each person dies a very individual death. Some of them are very sudden and unexpected, and some of them are very, very expected and long and drawn out. And some of them are horrible and just nightmarish to think about, and others of them are very incredibly peaceful and miraculous. And I've seen all of them in different ways. And that's the same with countries that die. So, being that's one of my expertise, I will be talking about some of that, like I just did. And another one of my expertise is to see things from a lot of different perspectives. One of the benefits of me doing a lot of different trades and working with a lot of different people, I've worked with ultra rich people, and I've worked with the ultra poor. I've worked with handicapped people, dementia patients, all different cultures, different languages, different political and religious backgrounds and belief systems. You name it, I've interacted and worked with successfully all different types. I've worked with people who worked in deep, dark government jobs, and I've worked with people who are at the opposite end of the spectrum, the hippies and the tree huggers and just everything. I've worked with all of them, and the benefit of that is I can see all sides a little bit. The hard part about that is that you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. You can see what the blind person can't see, and you can try to explain it to them, but they're still not going to be able to see what you can see. And that's just something that you just have to live with to a certain extent. So that's true in all this. But what you can do with that skill or that experience is you can try to get people to be united as much as possible. I've grown up in some rough neighborhoods, and I've been in some nice neighborhoods, and I know from my experiences growing up in rough neighborhoods, sometimes violence is the answer. And I also know that sometimes violence is not the answer, and that 99.9% of the time violence is not the answer. There's that 0.1% or 0.01% of the time that it is, depending on the neighborhood and what's going on. So I might talk about that a little bit. The odds of anybody really taking me seriously or me getting a following are pretty slim to none, and I don't really care. That's not the point. The point is to do my job. I mean, if you're going to be a citizen of a country that is of the people, by the people, and for the people, but you're not willing to speak up and participate in the dialogue, even if you're just the crazy guy standing on the corner talking to yourself in earshot of other people passing by, you can't complain about the way things are going. And when I was in the military, I heard someone say that you don't complain unless you've got a solution to the problem. And I agree with that most of the time. Because nobody likes a whiner. But you gotta, sometimes there's no easy answer. You've gotta, the pain requires that you get somebody's attention. We gotta start figuring this out. And I think we're getting there. So things aren't that bad yet, but there's so much more volatility with the technology we have today than there was even in the 1970s, which everybody keeps comparing to what's happening now to the 1970s, but this is actually very different. They didn't have AI in the 1970s. They didn't have cell phones. They didn't have this. So that's me rambling on here for how long? 20 minutes? Has any of this been edifying? I don't know that it has. But like my buddy Terry used to say, if it weren't for losers, there wouldn't be winners. And you can't appreciate the contrast or the beauty of a really good YouTube video that's well done unless you get the contrast videos like this that are not so great. But I still hope that there's some sort of redeeming value in my videos besides being really crappy. I just want people to think a little bit deeper about things in life. Man, there's just so much craziness going on right now. I don't know. Anyway, I'm home early today because my kidneys and my liver are bothering me. And I have a doctor's appointment next week. Other than that, I'm fine. I get fatigued. And I'm frustrated because I know that the human body can repair itself if it's given the right opportunity to do so up to a certain point. And the government and the country is the same way. You know, the country can repair itself up to a certain point. If you let it get too bad, then there's no coming back from the edge. It's like a black hole. And so, you know, physical health and spiritual health is kind of like that too. So I guess that's the point of this conversation. And the other point was that, sorry, I live next to a school. The kids are out playing. The other point is that with Lovitz and Shawn Ryan's show talking about that's the tip of the spear, I need Americans to understand that civilians are very much a big part of what happens in our society, much more than the tip of the spear guys are. And that's not to discredit them, but that's just to point out that they have a very specialized purpose and impact that makes a big, huge difference. But it's not as significant as the entirety of the population of the country and how we vote, how we communicate with each other, how we work together. And there has to be leaders on all levels of all types working together, from people like me cleaning toilets to people like you doing whatever you do, and then those guys in the special forces and the government people, generals and politicians and whatnot. My grandfather was a politician, by the way, locally. He was on the county board. But regardless, doesn't matter. God bless. Say your prayers. Pray for me, a sinner. And just try to be positive. You know what I'm going to do this afternoon? Yeah, I took off to relax. I'm going to rest for a while. But I'm going to go work in my garden. Not hard. Just going to relax and piddle around. Clean some things up. Get some flower beds ready maybe. Add some compost to my chicken pen. And, you know, work on my own backyard. Get my own backyard cleaned up. And if everybody would do stuff like that, the world would be a better place. And I guess that's the point of the story. So, all right, enough rambling. God bless. Over and out.